So, folks, I wanted to talk a little bit about how Donald Trump's grip on power is continuing to slip incrementally. And while that might not be as fast as we would like to see it slip, it is in fact slipping. And one of the things that I would like to point you all to is a story from Congress earlier today. Now, you'll recall yesterday I talked about how Donald Trump and Mike Johnson were conspiring to effectively pass a new piece of legislation that would allow Donald Trump to unilaterally impose tariffs without contest from Congress until July of this year, essentially continuing to give him unmitigated amounts of power over international trade. Essentially, as Donald Trump has grown more and more unpopular, to the point, by the way, that he is now strong-arming Gallup polling, which I can't believe that we have to say this. Apparently, Gallup has announced that after 88 years of polling the popularity of U.S. presidents, they're going to stop because Donald Trump has gotten so butthurt, so angry about the fact that his popularity rating is so low, dropping below 36%, that he has threatened to sue any media that is, or polling firms that show him to be unpopular. So Gallup has called that off. That is how, like, the level of unpopular Donald Trump is right now is he's having to threaten polling institutions into silence, which obviously is not going to stop the information from other indicators getting out into the world. And yes, Gallup is full of cowards, but read this for what it is. It is a huge sign of weakness from Donald Trump that he has to threaten the people who are showing how unpopular he is. And Gallup could win that lawsuit. Why are they cucking themselves? Because it would cost them a lot of money. That's why. I am going to say also that the Republican Party, and specifically the Republican president, has internal polling of his own. And I'm guessing that what is happening here is that Donald Trump's internal polling had some colossally terrible news about how he is being perceived by the general public. And that in turn made him threaten to sue all the pollsters who might reflect that similar internal polling. And so it's unfortunate from Gallup polling, but it is indicative of the fact that Donald Trump is currently experiencing an implosion, okay? And what is happening now is that the legislation that Donald Trump wanted to pass, kicking the tariff ball into his court entirely until July, that failed yesterday, meaning that Congress now has the ability to rein in Donald Trump's tariffs. And so what you're going to be seeing a lot of from Congress over the next several months, if not for the next year, is Congress clawing back and undoing the tariffs that Donald Trump was allowed to unilaterally impose. We have seen the first effort of that happen today. So 6 House Republicans voted alongside Democrats today to block tariffs on Canada. And yeah, it's not something that is going to go over well with Donald Trump. He's mad as fuck. He's mad as a gigantic wasp's nest that got mistaken for a piñata at a children's birthday party. Okay, like he's angry as hell. This in turn is going to now turn into a process where all of his Liberation Day tariffs that he touted last year that have been absolutely devastating to the American economy are now going to be challenged. Apparently, the next up on the block is going to be Mexico. And this is continuing the string of rejections of Donald Trump in Congress. And that, I think, is going to be good. Yeah, I mean, Eddie 666, it will be interesting to see if de minimis comes back. I know, like, that was a cornerstone, a bedrock for a lot of small businesses in America. But the 6 Republicans who voted along Democrats to cancel the tariffs are Thomas Massey, Don Bacon, Kevin Kiley, Jeff Hurd, Brian Fitzpatrick, and Dan Newhouse. I'm guessing that some of these people are worried about their own political futures, and this is why they are acting now. Jeff Hurd, in particular, told CNN, "At the end of the day, I looked at the Constitution. I looked at what was in the best interest of my district, and I took the vote. It's not easy, but it's the right thing, and I stand by it." And worth noting that Hurd's district is made up of predominantly farmers and steel manufacturers that have been devastated by these tariffs. And so they are, in fact, responding to this. It's going to be interesting to see because Donald Trump, as I said, is mad as hell. And he's putting out statements here.
The only thing that Trump leads in is number of people he has sued and lost to.
True. Donald Trump said, "Any Republican in the House or the Senate that votes against tariffs will seriously suffer the consequences come election time, and that includes primaries. Our trade deficit has been reduced by 78%. The Dow Jones has just hit 50,000 and the S&P 7,000, all numbers that were considered impossible just 1 year ago. In addition, tariffs have given us great national security because the mere mention of the word has countries agreeing to our strongest wishes. Tariffs have given us economic and national security, and no Republican should be responsible for destroying this privilege. President Donald J. Trump." He's trying desperately to threaten every single member of Congress. And I gotta tell you guys, this is not gonna go over well because essentially the closer and closer we get to midterms, which is the big political reckoning in the immediate future. And I want to remind you guys, it is only a handful of months away, right? The closer we get to midterms, the more Democrats, the more Republicans in Congress are going to start feeling to break from Trump specifically because his poll numbers are so bad. I guarantee you, every single Republican that is currently in office is looking for off-ramps to distance themselves from Donald Trump so that they can show their constituents, hey, we're not like that guy that you all hate. And some of them are like, obviously they're going to try and time it. They're going to try and time their exit from being Donald Trump's number one bootlicker, That's going to lead to like a staggering of people shedding their support. But the tariffs are a colossally easy layup. As a place for them to try and differentiate themselves from Donald Trump and show their constituents that they have their back, and without them really having to do anything. It's just a basic check on the Mad King himself. So every single Republican has the polling internally. Every single Republican is going to be doing their calculations. Even if they are a true believer in Donald Trump, they're all self-interested politicians at the end of the day, regardless of what they actually believe. Even the most diehard Trump supporter in Congress is going to be trying to differentiate themselves enough from him without fully leaving MAGA, like a Marjorie Taylor Greene. But they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I just disagree with the president on one or two issues, but I think he's right on 99% of them. You're gonna start seeing more and more of that in ways that constrain Donald Trump's power. That's what you can look at. Like, his power is deteriorating here. And not only that, we have other signals that this is just not going to go over well. Specifically, with the House passing the Save America Act, which is a national voting reform act that Donald Trump has been touting as like, oh, this will save the midterms for Republicans. This will save us from election fraud. This is like a big priority for Donald Trump, and I fully expect it to be defeated in the Senate. Because though it has passed the House, it passed the House narrowly, and it is meeting not just Democratic opposition in the Senate, but also a number of Republicans. Notably, Murkowski has been outspoken against it. And this, in turn, is going to be another defeat for him. Though I would encourage you, on the Save America Act, call your senators. Call your senators and make sure that you are telling them to vote no on the Save America Act, okay? It is very, very important that you do that. That is one of the calls to action for you guys today, okay?
We also can't let them get away with the, what enabling of a fascist coup. We're just a bunch of rural folk representing rural folk who care about America.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We need to put the pressure on them. We need to stymie their efforts to frankly, we need to end the trend among conservatives to stake out the idea that they are real Americans, whereas Democrats are fake Americans. I was literally out running errands today in the Twin Cities area here in Minneapolis, and I saw a sign that said simply, because there are signs on like every telephone pole, every street pole, etc. Most of them saying the variations on in civility of ice out, but one said Democrats have rights too, and there has been an ongoing effort with the complicity of the Democratic Party, I might add, to frame conservative rural people as real America and folks who live in cities as fake America. We can't let them have that anymore. Okay? Shoot bang, I did not see the Oklahoma special election over performance, where a Republican finally won a special election in Oklahoma. But it is worth noting, just gonna throw this up here for you guys, worth noting that this is a 37-point overperformance in this particular House district. So, just as an FYI, a Republican winning this seat was basically a given. But we see a 37-point swing in a local special election in Oklahoma. Like, I'm sorry, guys. Like, we're in territory of like, I don't care where you are in relative to MAGA as a Republican in elected office. You are sweating. You are sweating bullets, and you are trying to figure out what the hell you can do to stop this slide. And frankly, it's going to start coming down to, well, I need to do something drastic to break from Donald Trump. We have such massive swings coming this election. Yeah, I mean, like, some of the swings that are on the table are like 20, 30, 40-point swings. And like, there are very few places in the country, very few states in the country where a 30 or 40-point swing wouldn't leave them Democrat, you know? How many more special elections are left this year? I don't know. I can't tell you off the top of my head. Was watching a vid the other day talking about how cities make the majority of money on most states and subsidize rural infrastructure while cities crumble. I mean, part of it is true. Like, cities subsidize rural infrastructure. The other part of it is that cities crumble because cities are spending obnoxious amounts of money on police budgets. If we took half the police budget of every city and applied it to infrastructure, we would be a-okay. Crime would not go up, and in fact, like, the infrastructure would be good. Full stop. I know that sounds insane, but the ballooning of police budgets has not made cities safer at all. That being said here, folks, I just want to point out that, again, call your senators. Call your senators. Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. Call them and tell them to vote against the Save America Act. Okay? Very, very, very important. Because this act would require proof of citizenship and photo ID for every federal election everywhere in the country. It is a draconian, terrible law that seeks to solve a problem that has been solved the entire time. Again, the rate of voter fraud is insane. It is insanely low. Okay, after the 2020 election, the Associated Press contacted local election officials in 6 swing states. In their analysis, they found 475 potential voter fraud cases which amounts to an extraordinarily small percentage of the more than 25 million ballots that were cast in those 6 states. That's not even convicted, shown, demonstrated voter fraud. It is 475 potential voter fraud cases. But just assuming they were all, in fact, voter fraud cases, what is that actual percentage? Okay, let's find out. 475 divided by 25 million. Okay, it is 0.0019%.
It's nuts the way the USA sees tyranny as unacceptable for government, but for business, tyranny is necessary and democracy is terrorism. Join
Exactly.
the DSA, call your reps, and get
Hell yeah.
organized.
Hell yeah, Melody. Thank you for the $10 super chat. And also, very true. In any kind of civilized democracy, the idea that we should be putting up with totalitarian business structures, that it doesn't make sense to me. Like, if a country can govern itself democratically, then certainly a company can too. And we have evidence of that. Because we have democratic worker co-ops that have existed for hundreds of years at this point. Would just point out, the rate of voter fraud is obscenely low. Obscenely low. And we're not even talking, that's generously granting all of these people were actually doing voter fraud. Girl, you've been up to this for a long time today. I was watching you at 6:30 this morning. Yeah, I put in the time. I put in the effort. And I am also burning the candle at both ends because I want to make sure that we do everything, that at least I did everything I could to stop the fascist takeover of America. And folks, you should be doing the same, all right? You should be doing the same. Get organized. Go to your local Democratic meeting. Go to your local DSA meeting. Go to your local Working Families meeting, okay? Show up. We need to do more than just be educated. We need to do more than just know what the right things are, what the right policies are. We need to actually start showing up and organizing in our communities and building that grassroots foundation that we can build a better future on, okay? So please get involved. If you need help, join our Discord. Reach out to GamerG for help with DSA. Reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems. We have people who can give you advice on how to radicalize your local Dems to more progressive ideas, how to make your DSA more effective, all kinds of stuff. So we have a community here that is built to facilitate you getting more involved. And genuinely, it's a lot easier than you might think. Okay, so get organized today. Figure out what you're going to do, because we got to keep each other safe. ICE is going to be everywhere soon. And we need to organize for these midterms and organize for the 2028 election. We want to build something that is going to last. And that requires us to roll up our sleeves and get to work, because God knows these corporate Democrats that are currently in power aren't going to save us. So with that, folks, please hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and consider dropping those subs, donos, memberships, super chats, because you guys make this show possible. And leave a comment. Let me know what you think about all this. And last but not least, check out ImogeneOlivia.com. Gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes. Tested on cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. Everyone finds it very comfortable. Check it out. Link down in the doobly-doo. Let's keep on going. Oh, and it's non-tucking, which matters for some folks. And we should have an enhancing Packer-compatible lingerie bottom in the near future. So stay tuned.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, dating, plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.